the harbor wakes differently than it used to. There's still the rhythmic slap of water against wooden hulls, still the cry of gulls circling overhead. But something has shifted in the decades since Captain Finn first learned to tie a bowline knot on these very docks. The old creosote pilings lean a little more, weathered by salt and time. The boats crowd closer together now, sleeker vessels with names like Digital Dream and Sonar Song, their white fiberglass gleaming even in the pre-dawn dimness. Finn's spot hasn't changed though. Third dock from the harbor master's office, east side, where the morning sun hits first. His boots know every warped board, every gap that's widened over 40 seasons. The wood groans under his weight, a conversation between old friends. He sets down his tackle box with care. The metal container is older than most of the cats who'll arrive here within the hour, its green paint worn to bare steel at the corners. His grandfather carried this same box. The latches still click with that particular sound, the one that means everything inside is exactly where it should be. The mist hangs low this morning, turning the harbor into something that exists between water and air. Finn breathes it in, that particular scent that lives nowhere else. Brine and diesel and fish and rust and something indefinable that smells like memory itself. His whiskers are gray now, nearly white at the tips. They catch droplets of moisture as he bends to check his lines. His paws move through the familiar ritual, checking each hook for rust, testing the strength of leader lines between his teeth, coiling rope with the practiced motion that his muscles remember even when his mind wanders. These movements don't require thought anymore. They exist somewhere deeper, in that place where the body keeps its own kind of time. A younger cat passes on the adjacent dock, carrying a portable fish finder over his shoulder. He nods politely, but doesn't stop. Finn returns the gesture. The young ones are always in a hurry, always checking their devices, comparing their catches in real time on screens that glow even brighter than the dawn. They catch plenty of fish. Finn won't take that from them. Efficiency has its place, but efficiency isn't everything. Through the harbor master's window, he can see the wall of photographs. Finn doesn't need to look directly to know what's there. Third row, fourth from the left, him at 28, holding a marlin that took 6 hours to land. His fur still completely orange then, his stance proud and easy. The trophy from that catch sits on the same shelf, its brass plate tarnished now, the engraving barely legible. He wonders sometimes if anyone even reads those old plaques anymore. The sky shifts from charcoal to something softer, that particular shade of blue that arrives just before the sun. Finn straightens, one paw pressed briefly to the small of his back where the old ache lives. Not painful exactly, just a reminder that this body has hauled countless nets, weathered storms that sent younger cats running for shore, spent more hours on swaying decks than on solid ground. His boat rocks gently at its mooring. The Patience, he'd named her 30 years ago, and the name has proven true. She's not the newest vessel in the harbor, not by decades. Her paint is faded, her deck worn smooth by his footsteps. But her engine runs true, and she knows the waters like an extension of his own instincts. Other boats are arriving now. Finn hears them before he sees them. The higher-pitched whine of modern engines, the electronic beeps of GPS systems coming online. Voices carry across the water, younger cats calling to each other, planning their routes, checking weather apps on their phones. The dawn light finally breaks the horizon, and for a moment, the entire harbor turns gold. It catches the edges of waves, transforms the mist into something luminous. This is the moment Finn comes for, has always come for. This light that exists only here, only now, only for those patient enough to arrive before the sun. He loads his gear into the Patience with the same methodical care. Tackle box in its spot against the starboard bench. extra line coiled in the forward storage. Thermos of coffee, still hot, the steam curling in the cool air, secured in the cup holder he installed himself 20 years back. The horizon stretches out before him, endless and familiar. Somewhere out there, beyond where the harbor gives way to open ocean, the fish are moving through their ancient patterns. The sea doesn't care about new technology or old methods. She simply is, vast and patient, and full of secrets that 40 years have only begun to teach him. Finn's reflection wavers in the still water between the boats. An old cat looking back at him, yes. Gray whiskers and knowing eyes and paws that move a touch slower than they once did. But also, someone who can read the subtle shift in wind direction that means rain by afternoon. Someone who knows which currents run where and when and why. Someone who understands that the real skill isn't in the catching, it's in the knowing where to look. He steps aboard the Patience, feeling her settle under his familiar weight. His paw rests on the wheel, worn smooth where his grip has landed 10,000 times before. The engine key hangs on its salt-crusted lanyard. Not yet, though. Not quite yet. First, this moment. This quiet space before the harbor fully wakes, when it's just him and the water and the gathering light, when he can still feel why he started doing this all those years ago, back when his whiskers were still orange, and the world seemed to stretch out forever. The sea has been his constant companion through everything. Through the joy of his first catch, through the years of building his reputation, through marriage and fatherhood, through loss and loneliness, through all the seasons of a life lived mostly on water. She's been there when other things fell away, when younger cats stopped calling him captain and started calling him the old-timer instead. She'll be there today, too. Finn turns his gaze back to that endless horizon. Something in his chest tightens with a feeling he can't quite name. Not quite hope, not quite determination. Something older than both. Something that tastes like salt air and sounds like waves against the hull. Today feels different somehow, like the beginning of something, or perhaps the end. He takes a breath of the morning air, feeling it fill his lungs with all its familiar scents. Around him, the harbor continues waking, engines starting, voices rising, the day beginning its steady march toward whatever it holds. But here, in this moment, it's still just Finn and the sea and the golden light painting everything it touches. He's not ready to let this go. Not yet. The wheel feels right under his paw. The horizon calls with that same ancient voice, and Captain Finn is still listening.